Now, before I can actually make any kind of podcast episode for you guys, I want to explain one thing. Have you guys heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how. 1, it's free. 2, there's just many tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And it'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other things like iTunes and such. You can make more money from your podcast, regardless on how much you have already. So it's like extra money. Hello, who doesn't like free money? And then, it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one spot. So whenever you can, just download the free Anchor app at, your iTunes store, your Apple store, or your Google Play store, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thanks, y'all. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How art thou? Okay. Oh, shoot, I forgot. Oh, man. I gotta fix it. I gotta fix something on here, but I can't fix it while I'm on here. I gotta fix the 15 minutes because apparently it went to 15 minutes on here.
Okay, I can just come back in, or do you want to? I don't think we should restart it.
Okay.
But it's up to you.
No, it's okay.
How do you feel more comfortable? Because, all right, we just have to make sure that you're good.
Yeah, I feel. Nah, I think if you come back in, then it'll be all right.
Okay. All right.
Ouch.
Here we go. All right. Welcome to Storytime with Izzii, featuring reader Sarah Del Valle. Sarah, what are we reading today?
Tonight we are reading The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe.
The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And if people want to read along, where should they go for that?
If you guys want to read along, just go to poestories.com. That's poestories.com.
Yes, POESTORIES.com. And I am the moderator here from World Reading Club's Uniquilibrium LLC, or I should say Uniquilibrium LLC's World Reading Club. And we are ready to kick it off, The Telltale Heart. Remember, you can read along if you like on poestories.com. All right. Sarah Del Valle is reading. Are you ready to go?
I am ready. Are you ready?
All right. I am ready. I'm going to mute myself out and read along.
Okay. All right. The Telltale Heart. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How, then, am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He'd never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes. It was his. It was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night about midnight, I turned the latch of his I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, that no light shone out, and then I thrust into my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber, and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he has passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity.
We'll pronounce it sagacity.
Oh, sagacity. My bad. Sagacity. Thank you. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers. And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's that?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in his bed listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no! It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew that sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo, the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor. Or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, He had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all
We
in
will
vain.
we will pronounce it suppositions, if you don't mind.
Suppositions. Okay. Maybe. He had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him, and enveloped the victim. It was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot from out the crevice and fell full upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the senses? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye, upon the Eve. Is that I or Eve? I'm sorry.
Yeah, hold on.
It says,
Look at it. Is there some kind of...
It says
Yeah,
Eve in here.
Yeah, so it says the same thing here.
Okay. I thought it was just supposed to be the I. Okay. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the Eve. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart...
Whoa. Hold on. In context, I'm looking at this. Hold on. The drum simulates scarcely be the how the magic motions I tried how steadily I could maintain. Oh, nope. Here it is, I.
Yeah, it says Eve in here.
It looks like... Okay, so just a mistyping. Yes, it's I, of course.
Okay.
So when you said it in context again, I was just looking at the word.
Oh, okay.
Here. And from here, it's just the Y and the V have the same angles, except the Y just has that tail on it. It's so crazy. It looks just like a V.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going cray on it.
That's a good catch.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous? So I am. And now at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. and stood still. But the beating grew louder, louder. I thought the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly. Hold on. There you go. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot anywhere or whatsoever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all.
Ha ha!
Thank you. I was like, oh god. I can't do it maniacally like that. It was like
I've listened to a lot of crazy music. It just reminds me of a song from a band called, I don't remember right now. It's not important. Please continue.
It'll come to you. No worries. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4:00, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart. For what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. Uh-oh. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police officer, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled. For what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them, at length, to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But, ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained def- def- definiteness until, at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very, very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice, yet the sound increased. And what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more ve- 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 vehe- vehemently.
So we will pronounce it vehemently.
Thank you. I never heard that before.
So you can say you can say vehemently, or you can just say vehemently.
Vehemently. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
very much.
just in case, I mean, I didn't give you the other ones before, but um, we'll do a definition study later
Okay.
of some keywords. That'll be one of them.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Thank you. But the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key with violent gesticulations. But the noise steadily, but the noise steadily increased. Did I just read that twice? No, did not. Okay. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the men. But the noise steadily increased. Oh God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting, and grated it upon the boards. But the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God. No, no. They heard. They suspected. They knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark! Louder, 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 louder! Villains! I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here, here. It is the beating of his hideous heart. The end. Ta-da! Yay!
Fantastic. I like the energy you put in there at the end. That's how you finish strong. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. I thought it was pretty cool the way that he put it. He put that there, like that. He was like, "I'm just gonna tell you, I did it. I hit him. He's there. Just move the planks. That's it. That's it. I can't take it anymore." That's all.
Yeah, the dude was pretty
Adamant about the whole thing.
He was freaking out. Like
he couldn't hold it anymore. He broke. It broke him.
You know what the summary on poststories.com describes it as the telltale heart as, right?
No, I'm about to go on there now. Nope, wrong one. There we go.
So the Telltale Heart, published in 1843, is about what? 3 words.
A murderer's guilt. Oh.
So that's guilt taking over him, right there.
Aw, sucks for him.
Yep. So he went mad with guilt. You know, guilt is a very powerful thing.
It is. It can
So
it can kill you for real.
apparently it drove him mad.
And do that. That's sometimes driving people mad is the way to it's an easy way to just what is it called?
Well, there's a psychological trick that people do.
Huh? Hello?
No. Hey,
Oh,
I'm
I'm
here.
sorry. I was like, you went quiet.
Yeah, sometimes I pause when I was just in thought, but so yeah, guilt can drive people crazy. It's also the basis of a lot of stories about hell, where it says that basically hell is is self-imposed because of guilt that we hold on to because of various things in our lives.
Oh, for real? That's
And
what.
yeah,
Okay.
well, that's one of the things about it. One of the mythologies about hell. So one mythology about hell is that it's all about guilt and experiencing guilt over and over again in many different forms.
Hmm. I never actually seen anybody go mad over guilt, but I can imagine that it's not very pretty. I could just imagine it. Like I just imagine Poe going crazy over this whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yep, exactly.
wow, that's deep. That's some deep stuff right there.
So anything, okay, so let's look at some of the words that you had some difficulty with, or do you want to do that as one of the call-in classes or call-in workshops?
we
I'd say
can
we should put.
we can do that one on the call-in workshops, and then just take it from there.
All right, great. All right, this has been Storytime with Izzii,
Thank you
featuring
for
our reader,
thank you for
Sarah
listening.
Del Valle. Yes, thank you for listening. And she is a Edgar Allan Poe literary expert candidate, so literary expert certificate candidate through Uniquilibrium LLC's World Reading Club. And you, dear listener, are eligible for the expert certification yourself if you decide to come through and read. We have actually three different authors. One is Edgar Allan Poe, that you can do live readings and examinations of at least three of his works to be eligible for the level 1 literary expert certification. You can also do it for Maya Angelou and Langston Hughes are the three authors we're working with right now for expert certifications, for literary expert certifications. And you just need, so the way that it'll work, and also you can go to university.hypnoathletics.com, but I won't get into that too much here, but you can earn either a general literary expert certification. And that's if you, for example, if you read two Edgar Allan Poe and one Maya Angelou, or one Edgar Allan Poe, one Langston Hughes, and one Maya Angelou, or any combination where it's not the same author, then it stops being a specialized certification and it becomes a general one. So if you did that, then you would receive a literary expert certification. It would be World Reading Club literary expert certification instead of an Edgar Allan Poe literary expert certification. And you can get a Maya Angelou literary expert certification and a Langston Hughes literary expert certification. And so, and then we have also different levels. There's a master literary expert certification, and you have to work yourself up to a 3x3 reading matrix of various kinds, which I'll get into. But we are done here, unless Sarah has anything else to add.
No, I think I got it now.
All right. All right. That was Storytime with Izzii. I'm Hakeem Ali-Bocas Alexander.
And I'm
And we'll
Sarah.
catch you on Sarah Del Valle, and we'll catch you on the next wave.
Bye.
Yay!